orchestral music is, of course, a big part of the flute repertoire. Playing some of the greatest music with a good orchestra, with a good conductor, can be, of course, a pleasure. But getting to the orchestra, that's not always easy. This chapter will not be an audition preparation chapter. This maybe we will do at some point in the future. But for now, just a few points to keep in mind. First, I would say that 10 to 20 orchestral excerpts would always keep coming on every audition list, so the earlier you know them, the better. You can treat them in a way like a weekly task, like you study your etude. You can study one orchestral excerpt, and if you do it every week one, in 1 year you cover more than enough. A few things to remember. Sitting on the other side as a jury, one has to understand what the jury is expecting. Of course, every jury is different, and the size of the jury would also matter, and every orchestra has different taste, and every music director has a different taste. But some fundamentals. First of all, from the instrumental point of view, I would say they would expect a full control of the instrument. And this is something that you cannot hide. Sound, or sound and intonation, this is something one cannot compromise. I think every music director will expect his player, his flute player, but every player to have a wonderful sound. When you hear a good orchestra, the first thing you hear is sound. Wow, oh, this must be a good orchestra. Sound and intonation, I realized that normally the best players have not only great control, but perfect intonation. And as we said before, good sound, poor intonation doesn't work together, doesn't exist. I mean, poor intonation means poor sound, actually. Dynamic levels, we discussed it a bit. Full range from very soft to very loud, with all the control of the instrument, and of course in relation to the text. Rhythm, perfect rhythm. Yeah? This is maybe the main technical aspect of the playing, and that they would expect always. Maybe for the musical aspects, I would say tempo. I mean, of course, there is no one correct tempo to a piece, but a tempo that shows that you know the piece. Yeah? If you play much too fast or much too slow, it shows some lack of knowledge of the tradition, maybe. Yeah? Tempo style. If you play Bach and then you play Brahms, or Tchaikovsky, or Stravinsky, or Beethoven, it's a completely different style. We discussed it in other chapters, how you treat the sound, how you treat upbeats, how you treat your vibrato, your colors. It's all part of style. No mistakes. No mistakes. It's not allowed. Maybe some are very forgiving, but as a rule, don't play with mistakes, at least not in your audition. It can happen every now and then, but very rarely. Because if you make a mistake in the audition, probably you will make a mistake in the concert, and they don't want that. Nobody wants that. And maybe one more point is text. Respect the text. Respect the text. If you play a Beethoven symphony or a Brahms symphony, example. You know this piece? Forte piano under the G. Most of the students that I meet, I have to stop them and tell them for the piano. Why should I tell them for the piano when it's already written? And we discussed it with Mozart now for the piano. And we said how difficult it was to write with the ink and the feather. Yeah? Respect the text. And at the same time, since some editions and some arrangers wanted to make your life easier, they made books with all the excerpts together. Fantastic. It saves so much time. But there are mistakes there, unfortunately. Wrong slurs, wrong dynamics. Look back to the scores. Look back to the score and see what's the original. And if there are more than one version, okay, the best would be maybe to ask the orchestra where you're going to audition to send you their parts, so you know what they are doing. Yeah? So respect the text and be very careful with which text you're using. So this would be maybe the expectations of a jury. In addition, study the score. I mean by studying the score, study the score. For instance, I hope you know this music, but my question to you, how does the movement begin? What is the music in the beginning of the movement? And what is the beginning of the symphony? And where this solo comes in the movement? What happens before? What happens after? What is the atmosphere that we bring? What is special about this solo? What is the tempo? How do we pick the tempo? Know the score. Know what happens before, what happens after, who's playing with you. Are there strings? Are there other winds? Are you doubled? Are you alone? Who played that before us? Which instrument? Why is it important? What is the color of this instrument? Is he playing with a lot of vibrato? Little vibrato? Should we play the same? Should we play the opposite? How loud is this instrument? Yeah? So many considerations, but open the score, learn the score. Best, learn it from the score, and know it by heart. It's not so long. 30 seconds maybe, each solo. Another issue concerning the score, concerning the style, which kind of orchestra are you playing with? When you play that, what is the orchestration there? Or there? Who is playing with us? And when you play the second phrase of this solo, who is playing with us? Why is it important? What is the other instrument playing? What are the characteristics of this instrument? Harp is one thing, clarinet is another. Two oboes? Is it a Bach orchestra? Is it a Mozart orchestra? A Beethoven orchestra? Brahms orchestra? Mahler orchestra? Different sounds, different expression, different dynamic range. A lot of consideration. When you only take these books, with all due respect to the people who wrote it and put it together, thanks for them for that, but it's not enough. We need much, much more information. One more point is maybe to think, why is this solo important? What do they really want to hear by this one? It says pianissimo. Maybe they want to know how is my pianissimo. Maybe how is my intonation in pianissimo. Maybe how do I create an atmosphere after the break in the opera, coming back from the cafe and the wine, and the audience is sitting down, and we create something new with flute and harp. Maybe. What is this for? To check our staccato? Maybe. But if I play like this, Maybe it's a fantastic staccato. Is it good? No. Why? Because clarinets cannot play staccato so fast. And a good conductor knows that. So the tempo would be, by the way, how does this movement start? Right. Ta 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 ta. Cannot be too fast. I'm sorry that double staccato doesn't work so slowly and single staccato doesn't work so fast. But it doesn't matter. We have to find a way with the right tempo, with the right staccato, controlling our breath. What is this solo for? Sempre appassionato, Brahms wrote. I think they want to hear our sound in forte. Maybe E in C major should not be too high. Lots and lots and lots of consideration. So when you take the solo, think, why is it an important solo? From musical aspect, from technical aspect, learn all around it, listen to recordings, listen to good recordings. And if you listen to recordings, at least, I would say 3 different ones. So you have different flute players, different orchestra, different conductors. And if you have recordings of this specific orchestra that you are going to audition for, would be even better to get to know their style. How is the flute player there is playing? Okay? So this is not a complete audition preparation, but just a taste. This is part of our repertoire, important part of our repertoire. And we will continue talking about the orchestral literature.